7 bone-chilling secrets discovered in the woods at midnight that haunt you forever. The moon hung high, bathed in an eerie glow, illuminating the thick woods that many claimed were haunted. Whispered rumors swirled through the townsfolk. 7 bone-chilling secrets hid beneath the branches, like predators waiting to strike. The chilling wind howled, as if mourning the lives lost in those shadows, and each rustle of leaves sent shivers down spines. No one dared to venture in after dark, but one curious soul did, and what they found would haunt them forever. Darkness wrapped around Alex like a shroud. His heart raced as every snap of a twig felt like a warning shot from the spirits of lost wanderers. He couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The air hung thick, making it hard to breathe, while shadows danced between the trees, unsettling and alive. Locals had long spoken about the cursed clearing, where strange carvings lined the trees, symbols that whispered of lost souls, begging for release. Each took on a life of its own, twisting and turning, reaching out, clawing at Alex's sanity. And the rumors about the trees, thick and gnarled, they were said to bleed red at midnight. No one knew how or why. It was a sight that would grip your heart and squeeze, turning laughter into muted screams. Fragments of stories told of footsteps echoing in the silence, faint voices calling, "Help me," a constant reminder that not all are meant to escape this cursed place. Alex felt a choke in his throat. Every instinct screamed to run. Yet, curiosity drove him forward, deeper into the pitch-black belly of the forest. What he stumbled upon next sent a spike of pure terror through him. A circle of rocks lay embedded in the earth, smooth and cold, with a tarnished mirror at its center, shards of silver, reflecting the night sky with an unsettling twist. It felt wrong, unnatural. As he stared, he glimpsed distorted faces in the glass, each one twisted with anguish, eyes wide with fear. They were watching him, pleading or warning. He couldn't tell. He took a step back, and the air shifted, a sudden chill crawling along his spine. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But just when he thought madness would claim him, he heard a shuffling behind him. A dry whisper danced in the air, "You're not alone." Alex turned slowly, dread pooling in his stomach like ice. What stood behind him was not of this world, a figure cloaked in shadows, eyes glowing with a hunger for something lost. The darkness burst forth like a tidal wave, and the secrets of the woods began to unfold. He couldn't remember if he had come to find answers, or if he was just another soul destined to disappear. Would he be able to break free, or would he join the whispers inside the cursed mirror, trapped in the heart of the woods forever? The figure moved closer, melting from the shadows like smoke. Alex's breath quickened as the air grew thick and oppressive, wrapping him in a paralyzing grip. The creature's eyes shone with an unnatural light, drawing him in like a moth to a flame. It seemed to drain the warmth from the night, leaving only a biting cold that wrapped around Alex's heart. "I can set you free," it hissed, words slick and dripping with temptation. "Just look into the mirror. See what lies beyond the veil." The creature extended a gnarled hand, beckoning him closer to the tarnished glass. Compelled by an eerie force, Alex found himself stepping forward, unable to tear his gaze from the horrifying reflection. His face stared back, but it morphed swiftly, twisting into grotesque forms. It showed flashes of possible futures, his loved ones crying, his friends searching for him in futility, the woods swallowing him whole. "No," he gasped, stumbling back, terror coursing through him like ice water. The mirror pulsed in response, as though his fear fed its dark energy. "Every choice has its price," the figure whispered, weaving its way closer. "Fate has brought you here for a reason. Do you wish to understand the forest's secrets?" The shadows around it began to shift and swirl, showcasing brief scenes of anguish, a child lost, a man screaming, vivid and so very real. Each image clawed at his mind, digging deeper with every heartbeat. With a sudden fierce resolve, Alex slammed his eyes shut, struggling to drown out the whispers that seemed to hiss along the edges of his consciousness. He could feel the darkness tightening around him like chains, pulling him back toward the glass. The chaos erupted in a frenzy, shrieks and cries echoing in the hollow of the trees. It felt like the forest itself was alive, angry, and hungry. Open your eyes, Alex. Embrace your destiny. The creature's voice grew more urgent, more desperate, as if its existence depended on him. He could sense its frustration, like a storm gathering strength. The branches rustled violently, and with every passing moment, the urge to turn and flee was overwhelmed by a sense of relentless curiosity. Forcing his eyes open, Alex gazed again into the mirror. He could feel the weight of choices teetering in his mind. What if there was a way to save them? What if the secrets he could uncover would lead him back to safety? The horrifying faces in the glass morphed again this time, showing him completed rites, evocations of power that could shift fates. He took a shaky breath. Tell me, Alex commanded, his voice trembling yet steady. What must I do? The creature's eyes widened. You desire knowledge, but it will demand your spirit. It lingered there, hovering, the darkness curling around them like a shroud, thick and heavy. As dread clawed at the edges of his resolve, Alex knew he was standing at the precipice not just of his fate, but that of many souls locked within this cursed wood. And as he edged closer to the mirror, heart racing, a chilling thought struck him. Could the knowledge save him, or would it plunge him deeper into horror? Suddenly, the shadowy figure let out a bone-chilling laugh, filling the night with echoes of despair. You can't possibly comprehend what lies ahead. Choose wisely, or you'll join their suffering forever. With the weight of every lost soul pressing on his shoulders, Alex took a strong breath, stepping toward the mirror as its surface began to ripple ominously. What awaited him on the other side could change everything, but it could also trap him in a dark destiny. Would he plunge into the depths of the unknown, or would he retreat into the safety of ignorance? The surface of the mirror shimmered, swirling like disturbed water, beckoning Alex into its depths. The creature's eyes glowed with malevolent anticipation, as if ready to devour his very essence. He stepped closer, the chill of the air biting at him, threatening to freeze him in place. What will I find? His voice trembled, but defiance edged its way in. The creature angled its head, amused, and with a flick of its dark wrist, the mirror transformed. Images cascaded across the glass, visions of the forest at midnight, alive with whispers of the lost. A cacophony of longing and sorrow echoed in his ears. Each secret unveils the truth of what the forest hungers for. It crooned, wrapping its words around him like tendrils of mist. Shadows danced at the periphery of his vision, hinting at countless lost souls searching for closure. But knowledge bears a heavy cost. Are you willing to pay? Alex hesitated, his heart racing. What was the price? A flicker of doubt sparked inside him. Will it be my life? My loved ones? He could feel the weight of his mother's embrace, the warmth of his friend's laughter fading slowly with each heartbeat. The thought of losing more made his chest ache. The creature leaned in closer, its breath like icy wind. One life, for another a soul for a secret. To save one, you must forsake another. Such is the law of the woods. It paused, savoring his turmoil. Choose wisely, boy. The mirror lost its luster, fading to a deep black, reflecting nothing but his frenzied thoughts. Memories crashed through him like waves, laughter echoing in family gatherings, shared dreams with friends, all of it teetering on the brink of oblivion. The stakes felt monumental, crushing. Do you even realize what you could achieve? The creature pressed on, sensing his wavering will. Wisdom can grant you power beyond your family's wildest tales. You could save yourself. You could make that loss unthinkable. What do I have to do? The desperation in Alex's voice cut through the static of the moment, drawing the creature closer like a moth to a flame. Step through and witness the rituals, it hissed, each word dripping with dark allure. Embrace the hunger of the woods, and you may find a chance to change your fate. Or you can remain here, a husk of what you once were. Alex knew he faced the heart of darkness, one that threatened to tear him apart. He glanced over his shoulder, the trees looming ominously, shadows flickering like restless spirits. Could he trust this creature? The idea felt disgusting, But the thought of the woods claiming him terrified him even more. Gulping down the bile rising in his throat, he made a decision. I will do it. With that resolve, he stepped forward, feeling a jolt of energy surge through him as he entered the mirror's embrace. The world distorted, collapsing into dark light and swirling mist. The chill intensified, sinking deep into his bones as he was engulfed by the mirror's wicked grasp. When his feet hit solid ground again, Alex found himself in a bizarre world, a twisted reflection of the forest he had known. The trees leaned in, whispering secrets in a language he didn't understand. The air hung thick with dread, and an unsettling glow illuminated a clearing ahead. And then he saw them. Figures of shadow danced, performing an ancient rite beneath the silvery light of the moon. Each movement offered haunting reminders of the lost souls who had wandered here before him, echoing despair and longing. What have I walked into? He muttered, panic tightening his chest. As the gathering continued, a weight settled on his shoulders. This knowledge came with a price, and the woods would stop at nothing to collect it. A figure broke away from the crowd, approaching him with eyes that mirrored the creatures they held the same ominous promise. Welcome, Alex, it spoke softly, too softly. You wish to know. Now, are you ready to bear the weight of the truth? With his heart racing, Alex realized he stood at the edge of an abyss, and the darkness was ready to consume him. What he would learn here could shatter his mind or lead him down a path of redemption. But there was no turning back now. As hands stretched out, ready to pull him into their chaotic dance, a terrifying thought flashed through him. What if knowledge did not mean wisdom? What if it meant doom? And with that, in the chaos of shadows, the night held its breath. The figures swirled around him, their movements fluid yet jarring, like a nightmare brought to life. Shadows flitted across their faces, their expressions twisted by despair. They seemed to glide rather than walk, an eerie grace that made Alex shudder. What is this place? He whispered, drawing in a breath that felt heavy with fear. Here, we learn what the forest wants and what it takes, the figure murmured, the words like silk sliding through the darkness. Its voice resonated deep within him, pulling at something primal. You've come for knowledge, but wisdom is earned through sacrifice. Sacrifice. The word echoed in the vast emptiness around him, amplifying the tension in his chest. The flickering shadows passed, chanting a soft, mournful melody that clawed at his insides, wrapping around his heart. With each note, memories of his loved ones flickered in his mind, a montage of laughter, love, and warmth drowned in an overwhelming tide of loss. What must I pay? The question slipped out, breathless and raw. The figure stepped closer, its eyes glowing brighter, reflecting the depths of his anxiety. To know what you seek, you must offer something dear to you. A piece of yourself. A secret closely held. The woods thrive on darkness, Alex. Will you nourish it? The dance continued, the air thick with the mingled scents of damp earth and the pungent aroma of decay. Fear licked at the edges of Alex's mind. Could he really give something so integral to who he was? The price loomed like a gaping chasm that threatened to swallow him whole. Memories of his mother tugged at him, her gentle smile, her voice like a warm embrace. He would never gamble with that, would he? But the call of the woods was seductive, a siren's song weaving through him like a vine, tightening around his heart. I don't know if I can do this, Alex's voice trembled, the doubt hanging heavily in the air. Strength comes from confronting your fears, the figure urged, extending a hand that seemed to glimmer with the light of 1,000 lost souls. Feel the burden of your truth. Only then can you understand the sacrifice. The shadows murmured, urging him on, their voices melding into a single, haunting chorus. The clearing pulsed with anticipation, the air crackling with energy. The moon hung low, casting a silvery glow that flickered like dying embers. Let go of your hesitation, Alex, the figure continued, its tone a mix of compassion and insistence. Embrace the darkness. Taking a shaky breath, Alex stepped forward, the weight of the moment suffocating yet electrifying. He felt his resolve wavering as he struggled against the torrent of emotions crashing over him. Would the woods truly deliver what they promised? He squeezed his eyes shut, pressing back images of his family, his friends. He couldn't lose them. But the pull was undeniable. I'll offer a piece of my past, he finally whispered, dread pooling in his stomach. One I've never shared. The moment the words left his lips, he felt a jolt ripple through him, as if the leaves themselves shuddered in response. The shadows stopped dancing, freezing in a stillness as palpable as the night. Eyes turned to him, reflecting hunger and intrigue. "Speak your truth," the figure whispered, and dread settled like fog in Alex's mind. His heart raced. "I was afraid of being alone. Abandoned. When I was a kid, I lost my best friend. I've always carried the guilt for not being there," he admitted, each word pricking at his wounds. The shadows leaned in, listening, absorbing his pain as he spoke. The clearing began to swirl, the air shimmering, caught between his confession and the darkness surrounding them. He felt something slip away from him, a piece of his essence rising to the surface, mingling with the fog. Alex gasped, fear gripping his throat. "What have I done?" In that moment, he realized the woods did not just drink of fear, they thrived on the pain of lost connections. And just as quickly, the shadows erupted in triumph. A cacophony of whispers rising like a gale, voices echoing his confession back to him, each syllable laced with an unspeakable power. As the shadows receded, the clearing brightened, but a new weight settled in Alex's chest. The truth tasted bitter on his tongue, and he understood. The cost had only just begun. What had he awakened? He had made a choice, but now a deeper darkness loomed, and it was not finished with him yet. As the echoes of his past faded into the ether, he felt an unsettling presence behind him, cold and unyielding. The question hung thick in the air. What would he have to face next as the forest demanded its due? A sudden chill swept through the clearing, wrapping around Alex's body like an icy hand. He turned, heart hammering, to face whatever had stirred behind him. The moonlight shifted, casting a silver sheen across the forest, revealing jagged branches twisted into grotesque shapes that seemed to reach out threateningly. "What is happening?" he stammered, glancing back at the figure, who flickered like a candle caught in the wind. The shadows around him writhed with an energy that felt alive and hungry. "You have awakened what was dormant," the figure intoned, its voice echoing unnaturally. "The forest sees you now and demands more. You will be tested." Tested? Panic gripped Alex's lungs. Sweat prickled at his brow, but he couldn't tell if it stemmed from fear or the oppressive weight of the woods. What kind of test was coming? He had already bared his soul. With a loud crack, a branch snapped somewhere nearby, jolting him out of his thoughts. The forest seemed to come alive, whispers rising from the undergrowth, a mix of warnings and taunts. He could almost make out words, threading through the leaves like a distant melody. Each syllable bore a tone of mockery, as if the woods laughed at his vulnerability. "Face your truth," the figure insisted, stepping back and gesturing toward the dense thicket. "Your past holds secrets yet untold. They must come to light." Before he could protest, dark shapes emerged from the shadows beyond, moving slowly with an eerie, graceful fluidity. Each figure wore a mask of his memories, twisting through the fog. His friend, Lee, just a boy again, frozen in time. The haunting images from the day they last played together carved into his features. "Why are you here?" Alex breathed, backing away, his mind racing. He had thought sharing his pain would bring relief, but all it did was summon the very ghosts he had tried to forget. "They come to remind you," the figure said, cold eyes piercing through him. "Your decisions echo in the void. Can you bear to face the weight of the choices you made?" And suddenly, it all came rushing back. Lee's laughter drowned in memories of the accident. The moments Alex had replayed endlessly in his mind what he could have done differently. Each moment crashed into him, wild waves threatening to pull him under. "Stop!" Alex shouted, heart pounding. They were not just memories. They were shackles binding him to his guilt. I want to relive this." But the apparitions advanced, whispering words that shredded the fragile walls he had built around his heart. The shadows twisted more tightly, their expressions sharpening as they fed on his anguish. "You owe it to them to confront your fear," the figure pressed, unyielding. "Loss doesn't fade without acknowledgement." With every step closer the figures took, the air thickened, burdened by the pain of his youth. Alex could feel something deep within him begin to unravel. His hands trembled, and for a fleeting instant, he felt the urge to flee. Yet there was nowhere left to run. Despair clawed at him, grappling for control. He had already surrendered a part of himself. Would he be forced to lay bare all his sins? Would it ever stop? As he groped for answers, he locked eyes with Lee's ghostly visage. I was scared, Alex cried, desperation spilling from him. I didn't know what to do. But there was no sympathy in those eyes, only a haunting gaze that pierced through his excuses. Enough, Alex pleaded, the ground beneath him trembling slightly with the rising dread. I can't take this anymore. Suddenly, with the force of thunder, the shadows erupted around him, engulfing him in darkness. He choked back a scream as he felt himself being pulled backward, as if the forest itself was claiming him. Embrace it. The figure's voice thundered over the chaos, echoing with unearthly authority. Only then can you be free. And then, a sudden silence fell, thick and oppressive, wrapping Alex in its grasp. He struggled against the void, his heart racing, desperate for air that felt eternally out of reach. The test loomed ahead like a storm, one that threatened not only his sanity, but his very soul. What other secrets would spill from his depths? Would he have the strength to confront all that lay hidden? As the world spun back into focus, a chilling whisper curled around him. Prepare to face what you fear most. The darkness deepened, and Alex knew that the real challenge had only just begun. Alex blinked, disoriented, as the darkness receded like a tide, revealing a twisted version of the clearing he had just been in. The air buzzed with a charged energy, crackling against his skin. Instinctively, he took a step back, eyes darting around, searching for the figure. But it was gone, now replaced by an oppressive stillness that made his skin crawl. That he was alone. Except, he wasn't. From the corners of his eyes, he caught glimpses of movement, shadowy forms flitting just beyond the reach of the moonlight. They were echoes of memories, flickering in and out like a broken film reel. Alex swallowed hard, guilt twisting in his gut. He remembered the tales of the forest, where sorrow and loss wove through the ancient trees like a dark tapestry. Face your truth, he whispered, half to himself, half to the memories swirling around him. As if in response, the shadows pulled closer, morphing into familiar shapes. There was his mother, her face etched with pain and confusion. Next to her was a younger version of himself, innocence turned to uncertainty. They stood together, trapped in a tableau that felt both foreign and achingly familiar. What do you want from me? Alex shouted, his voice breaking. I can't change what happened. But the memories offered no answers, only a cacophony of whispers laced with disappointment. He pressed his fists to his temples, feeling the weight of their stares. Could he bear the truth if it meant facing them again? Then, Lee appeared, stepping into the moonlit haze. He looked just as he did that fateful day, bubbling with laughter, joyful and carefree. Behind him, shadows twisted, forming dark clouds that whispered tales of accidents and poor choices. Alex Lee's voice echoed, a haunting melody that tugged at his heart. You have to remember. Remember what? Alex retorted, anger bubbling up as he took a step closer, desperation clawing at him. How could I forget? That you can't hide from what happened. Lee's ghostly figure surged forward, eyes burning into Alex's. You need to confront your past, or be forever buried in it. The ground around him trembled as shrouded figures materialized, friends from school, relatives he had let slip away, their faces blurred by regret and helplessness. They circled him, chanting softly, their voices like the rustling leaves, mingling with the wind. You can't run, Alex, one of them cried, its voice sharp and piercing. The truth will follow you into the darkest corners. Enough, Alex screamed, collapsing to his knees. The shadows had become suffocating, wrapping around him, closing in, feeding on the confusion and fear that churned within. What do I have to do? Accept it. The call of the shadows turned primal, like a thunderstorm gathering overhead. Admit your mistakes to find peace or remain forever lost. He could feel the despair bubbling up, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest. The memories were crashing in, threatening to drown him in a sea of regret. But then, within the chaos, a flicker of hope pierced through the shadows. Lee, he cried out, desperation pouring from him. Tell me what to do. How do I fix this? The air thickened, holding its breath as the ghost of Lee looked down at him, expression softening. You start by forgiving yourself. The words hung in the air, cloaked in a haunting echo that fizzled into silence. But the moment was fleeting. The darkness surged, and shadows lunged, grasping at Alex with freezing fingers. "Forgive yourself?" he gasped, clenching his fists. "How can I?" As his voice broke, chaos erupted. The shadows twisted, forming a nightmare around him, a tempest of memories spiraling out of control. "Face it." The figure's voice resonated, booming beyond the din of despair. "Face your truth." In that moment, Alex felt a surge of urgency wash over him. He was on the brink of a revelation, a chance to break free from the chains binding him to his past. Would he confront the darkness within and finally embrace the truth? Or would he be swallowed whole by the memories weaved into the very fabric of the forest? Desperate to find his answer, he stood up, heart racing, breath quickening as he shouted into the void, "I will not be afraid anymore." But the shadows answered back with an eerie silence, thick and heavy, as if they too were holding their breath waiting. And Alex, at that moment, knew the real test was yet to come. Would he be strong enough to face the ultimate truth that awaited him? The shadows thickened, swirling with an unsettling energy, wrapping tighter around Alex like a vice. His breath came in shallow gasps, panic threading through him. Every heartbeat echoed in the stillness, like a prisoner begging for release. He felt the heat of shame crawling up his neck. Forgiveness? How could he forgive himself when guilt had woven itself into every fiber of his existence? "Forgive yourself," Lee's voice echoed again, a melody now tainted with sorrow. But Alex struggled to find the courage to embrace those words. The faces in the shadows shifted, their sorrowful eyes piercing him with accusations, a reminder of every stumble he had made, every choice that had led here. Suddenly, the ground beneath him cracked, and a deep rumble resonated through the earth. The night trembled as the memories took on form. A gnarled tree emerged from the darkness, its branches twisted and sharp, like skeletal fingers clawing at the sky. It loomed over him, its bark a tapestry of scars and markings, each telling a dark story, a mark etched in time. The whispers crescendoed, rising into a chorus of despair that washed over him. He winced, trying to shield himself, but the sound pierced through his defenses. "Face your truth, Alex. Face the choices you've made." A blinding light erupted from the tree, illuminating everything around in a stark, white haze. The memories surged toward him, unstoppable, forcing him to relive the moments he fought so hard to forget. He saw his younger self, lighter and more vibrant, standing at a crossroads. A choice laid bare before him. To go left meant safety, a steady life. The right path, though, was riddled with temptation, excitement, and a dangerous thrill. The visions shoved him deeper into the recesses of his mind. He gasped as he heard laughing voices, felt the clinking of bottles and the rush of wind on his face as he dove into reckless abandon. "Stop!" he shouted, clenching his teeth as the memories dragged him down. "I don't want this." But it was too late. The forest responded with a fierce gust that sent leaves spiraling around him, transforming the echoes into tangible manifestations of his regrets. A figure materialized, a reflection of Lee, distorted and wreathed in shadows, an eerie reminder of the friendship he'd lost. "Do you see now? This is what you've done." The figure's voice was a haunting reflection. "You pushed me away when I needed you most. You ignored the signs as they whispered of trouble ahead." "No, it wasn't like that," Alex cried, the knot in his chest tightening. "I didn't know." A cold laugh rang out, chilling him to his core. "Didn't he know? Or didn't he want to? You hid from the truth, believing the lies you told yourself. You watched as I fell and did nothing." Anguish tore through him, leaving him gasping for air. "I had no control. I can't change what happened. I can't bring you back." "Face it," came the disembodied voice of the shadows that curled around him. "You were the one who allowed the darkness to win." Alex could feel himself breaking apart under the weight of their accusations. He felt alone in a cocoon of despair, the shadows whispering sinister secrets. The urge to run surged in him like a tidal wave, but he knew escape wouldn't grant him peace. He needed to confront the truth, needed to unravel the snarl of memories that tethered him. If sensing his resolve, the tree throbbed with energy, casting off shadows like peeling paint. An unexpected stillness hung in the air, beckoning him. He could feel the weight of the moment, like a ticking clock that demanded his attention. With trembling hands, Alex squared his shoulders, summoning what little courage he had left. I will face it. I won't run away anymore. The breeze whispered through the trees, laced with urgency, as if the forest itself anticipated what came next. Suddenly, the shadows recoiled slightly, leaving a small clearing, revealing a glimmering light, a path that seemed to pulse with something more than just illumination. What was that? He wondered aloud, a flicker of hope igniting inside him. Before he could take a step, the world around him vibrated, filling with a cacophony of voices that grew louder, demanding his attention, intertwining his own thoughts with the memories he wanted to flee from. What awaited him on that path? Would the light reveal the answers, or pull him deeper into the heart of his darkness? The shadows surged forward, ready to pull him back, but Alex knew this was his moment. Life or death, truth or lies, the choice was his. As he teetered on the brink of stepping toward the light, a chilling whisper echoed from within the depths of the clearing. Welcome to your reckoning, Alex. And with that, the shadows recoalesced. They were waiting. The air crackled with tension, thick as fog and almost stifling. Alex stood on the edge of a choice that felt monumental, weighted with years of regret. The light pulsed in front of him, almost beckoning him closer, whispering promises of understanding, of peace tucked into its radiant embrace. But in the shadows, he felt the cold breath of despair, coiling tighter, as if giving one last desperate attempt to drag him back into the depths of his sorrow. Don't let them win. Remember why you came here. The voice of Lee echoed somewhere within him, a faint flicker amidst the chaos. Just then, the shadows moved, swirling into a darker shape. A face emerged, one he recognized but hadn't seen in ages. His father, eyes hollow and dark, frowned with disappointment. Alex felt his heart plummet. You've always run away, haven't you? His father's voice boomed, echoing through the hollow space. Do you still think you can hide from your choices? No, Alex shouted, fists clenched, pulse quickening. I'm here to face it now. His father's visage twisted, morphing into a blend of figures from his past, friends lost to time, moments of laughter turned to silence, years wasted in the shadows of apathy. Each face brought a renewed wave of anguish, a reminder of every time he turned away when he should have reached out. Fear could only hold you back, son. His father's voice faded, replaced by others, Lee's, the laughing friends at the crossroads, blending into an unbearable symphony of grief and accusation. You can't change what you've lost, but you can choose how to remember it. What is there to remember? Alex murmured, lost in his thoughts, doubting whether he could do this. The light flickered again, urging him, an oasis in the storm of shadows wrapping him tighter despite the warmth it offered. Finally, he took a deep breath and took a step toward the light, his heart ready to break open wide. The shadows hissed, creating a tempest around him, each raspy voice clawing for his attention, trying to drown out every genuine thought. You're a coward. You will always be a coward. No, he countered, his voice stronger now. I refuse to be defined by the past. I won't let you keep haunting me. As if responding to his defiance, the shadow forms shifted, wild and chaotic, their cries rising into a tumult of anger. They coiled closer, limbs weaving into grotesque shapes, bearing the true depth of his fears. They loomed over him, crackling with energy, and for a moment, the idea of retreat flickered in his mind. But before the terror could grip him fully, he focused on the light, letting its glow seep into his being. It whispered of strength, of acceptance, of coming to terms with his darkest hours. You can't force me to live in fear anymore, he declared, determination taking root. With that, he lunged into the light, brittle and bright. It washed over him in waves of warmth, igniting every corner of his frozen heart. The shadows shrieked, their cries merging into one as they intertwined with the light, swirling violently in an explosive clash. The light engulfed him, pulling the darkness apart. A sudden silence fell in the aftermath, one that felt both liberating and terrifying. Alex stood in the center of the clearing, breathless, heart racing. He was free, but the light felt different. It glistened with the truth of what he had faced. In the chaos, amid the flickering embers of past choices, Alex felt something shift. A clarity he hadn't anticipated settled. He could see the doorway behind him, shrouded in shadows, where all the whispers still lingered, echoes of choices unmade. What is this place? He pondered, a storm of emotions swirling inside him. But then, from the damp earth, a buried memory surfaced, an image of Lee, laughing and hopeful, fading faster than he could grasp. Lee, he breathed, suddenly aware of how much he had to lose if he did not act now. And just as the clearing began to pulse with renewed energy, the darkness flickered like fading embers, the shadows creeping back, hungry for his hesitation. Are you ready to take the final step, Alex? The air buzzed, heavy with anticipation. The path is fraught with choices, but freedom could lie beyond if you dare to confront what you've left behind. He felt the weight of their scrutiny on him, an undeniable challenge. Only you can decide, the voice lingered, against the growing hum of shadows. As he stared into the depth of that light, a haunting question echoed in his mind. What truth awaited him on the other side? And would facing it finally set him free? The light flickered and pulsed around him, positive energy swirling at his fingertips. Yet the shadows clawed at his resolve, warping his newfound clarity with whispered doubts. What if you choose wrong? They hissed, their voices sliding over him like ice. What if the truth you seek is worse than you could ever imagine? With trembling hands, Alex pushed back, the memories of Lee's laughter echoing in his mind. He longed to step through the doorway, to burst into a reality where pain was not a constant shade by his side. But the shadows were not finished. They writhed and twisted, creating dark shapes that loomed directly in his path, obscuring the light. Do you even remember what it felt like? That last moment with Lee? A voice croaked. It was familiar but twisted, laced with bitterness. You were too late then, and you'll be too late again. No, Alex shouted, desperation rising within him. I won't fall for your games anymore. He channeled his fear into anger, pushing forward, willing his body through the draping darkness. The shadows coiled tighter, almost seizing him. A cacophony of voices surrounded him, mocking laughter, distorted cries of despair, the clinking sound of something sharp cutting through the air. But from within that tumult, a clearer voice rang out, one he recognized instantly. Alex, you have to confront it. You can't do this alone. Lee's voice was a lifeline, cutting through the chaos. It infused Alex with a renewed sense of purpose. If you're there, Lee, I'll find you. He yelled, his words ringing like a challenge. With that, the lights surged ahead, illuminating ancient symbols carved into the earth, glowing with memories of moments long past. Each symbol held a piece of a story he thought he had forgotten, moments of laughter, joy, and yes, even sorrow. Faced with the full weight of who he was, Alex saw what lay beyond, a bright path in stark contrast to the shadows. The wall of darkness crackled and split as Alex surged forward. He felt energy coursing through him, driven by the need to reconcile the past. As he stepped into the illumination, clarity pierced through the noise. The shadows screeched in despair, unable to latch on any longer. But as he neared the edge of the light, a sinking dread took hold. You think you can just walk away? One of the shadows taunted, transforming into the image of Lee, eyes hollow, face ghostly pale. You've spent your life avoiding the truth. Are you prepared for what really happened? Alex's heart thundered. His hands trembled, lost in a swell of uncertainty. He had shielded himself for so long, where confronting his past felt like climbing a mountain. Would he find redemption or only regret? Face what you fear. Another pulse of energy surged as he pushed onward, but the shadow of Lee remained, throwing darkness at his light. You were never here for me when I needed you. Shut up, Alex screamed, frustration boiling over. I was too scared, but I'm done hiding. The ground beneath him rippled, the brightness flickering, and suddenly, he felt it, the cold brush of encroaching shadows pulling at the edges of his consciousness, the familiar sense of despair threatening to snatch him back. Just as he stood ready to leap into the unknown, he heard a horrible crack. The ground trembled as different lies and memories detonated around him, raining down like shards of glass, each one cutting into his skin. Every choice has a consequence. The shadows screeched, their anger growing more palpable. Alex closed his eyes, summoning every ounce of the light as strength within him. I choose to face you, he screamed, and a brilliant surge emanated from him, flaring brightly against the darkness. In an unexpected twist, the shadows jolted backward, a sudden retreat as he pressed deeper into the light. But amidst the chaos, fragments of laughter faded into haunting cries. A wave of realization drenched him. Lee, where was his friend? What had he lost in this battle against his own fears? The final question echoed as he plunged into the light. Would the truth free him or bind him in chains he couldn't escape? And as everything around him erupted into a whirlwind of light and shadow, he felt the edges of his consciousness waver, the next step looming just out of reach. Who, or what, awaited him just beyond the veil? The light engulfed Alex, wrapping around him with a warmth he hadn't felt in years. It swept through him like a balm, steadying the racing pulse thrumming in his chest. He breathed deeply, letting the illumination fill him. But shadows surged outside, clawing against the edges, urging him down into darkness. He could almost feel Lee's presence like a weight pressing on his soul, urging him to confront the truth he had long buried. Face it, Alex. The voice of the forest echoed, piercing through the chaos with a compelling force. You can't run anymore. Alex opened his eyes, each breath igniting a fire within. I want to hide. The words spilled out, filled with a determination he never knew he possessed. Chastising ghosts of his past filled the expanse around him, their faces a jarring reminder of every moment he'd failed to intervene. He could see them again, friends and family, lost and forgotten. Alex, they all murmured in unison, echoing in a haunting tone. You left us behind, but we never left you. At that moment, realization struck him like a thunderbolt. He and T just been carrying his own guilt. Each regret was a thread woven into the fabric of their lives, each sorrow creating a sadder tapestry that bound them all together. It was time to pull some of those threads, time to rewrite the narrative. Taking his first courageous step into the light, he steadied his shaking hands and shouted, I'm sorry. The words flowed from a place of deep honesty. The shadows flinched, recoiling from the brightness bursting forth. I'm sorry for being afraid. I'm sorry for turning away. I'll face the truth. I'll embrace it. With every shout, he felt pieces of his soul reawakening, spilling past the cracks forged by pain over the years. The shadows surrounding him shimmered with uncertainty, their cruel laughter fading into whispers of curiosity, reluctant to abandon the darkness entirely. In that moment, from the depths of his repressed memories, the visage of Lee appeared no longer just a form cloaked in shadows, but a vibrant, familiar figure. He looked as he once had, laughter threading through his voice. Alex, are you finally ready to live? Yes. I want to. Alex paused, looking deeply into Lee's eyes, those vivid blue orbs filled with understanding. I want to fix this. I've carried guilt for too long. I didn't save you, but I can honor your memory. I'm ready to face my fears, to accept that it wasn't just my choice that led us here. The shadows stirred, some regressing into the deep recesses of the woods, while others flickered with interest. Lee's ghost grinned, his presence warm, a bittersweet summer breeze creepily reminding Alex of everything he'd lost. Then let us face the truth together. Let us make them understand and find peace. The air thickened with energy, swirling between them. He could feel the weight of the souls still trapped within the woods, each one beckoning to be released. Alex took Lee's hand, squeezing it lightly, and that connection surged through him, as if every fiber of their shared memories bound them in unbreakable trust. Together, Alex whispered, extending his free hand toward the path of light. The glow pulsed with invitation, promising understanding, acceptance, and the catharsis of releasing burdens long forgotten. Shadows surged and twisted in response, pulsating with rage at the notion of stepping toward the unknown. Undeterred, Alex drew deep within himself, letting both fear and courage cascade together. Together, he shouted, his voice reverberating throughout the forest. Together, we will face it all. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm ready to reclaim what was lost. The clearing exploded with light, and in that blinding surge, they surged forth hand in hand, stepping fully into the illuminating embrace of the truth. Time dissolved, the winds of the forest swirling wildly, mixing laughter and despair in a cacophony of emotion. And then, silence. As the blinding light subsided, there stood Alex, heart pounding yet steady. Behind him, the shadows split, fading into nothingness, a lifetime of fears finally trapped. in their own empty echoes. Before him lay a new forest, vibrant and alive, no longer burdened by sorrow's rain. Each leaf, every breeze, seemed to whisper a promise of new beginnings carved from resolution and acceptance. Alex turned toward Lee's shadow, now transformed but solid, anchored. The warmth of his friend returned, more vivid than before. They stood, gazing at the path before them, the vibrant melodies of the forest resonating like distant laughter, reminding him that hope remained within reach. "I'm free," Alex breathed, feeling a clarity he thought he'd never achieve. Defeated darkness had surrendered, the weight of guilt lifted. He took a deep breath, laughter bubbling from deep within his chest. "Let us go," he said, stepping forward together, ready to rekindle their bond, to make new adventures surrounding the laughter of past mistakes that had finally learned to forgive. And with that, the night spread around them, brightening into daylight, leaving no trace of shadows behind. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss any exclusive content coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section below with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about what just happened. And don't wait even one more second to share this final chapter with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Join the journey and show your true support for the channel.